Hi, this is Shirley
Well,
and Rudy Senerigi
yeah, we're
continuing.
back. We're back.
Yeah, continuing our conversations about our house sitting experience. And what we'd like to talk about now are what we each considered to be like the most amazing of our trips.
So far, yeah. And for me, it was the trip to do the Helpex in Force, Italy. My grandparents emigrated from Italy in 1905, and basically we lost all contact with anybody overseas, any family history. Force, as it turns out, the small village of Force was only a 20-minute drive from Sarnano, where my grandparents came from. So while we were in Force, we had the opportunity to travel to Sarnano, do some family history, actually meet family members I didn't even know existed. Shirley said there was a great physical resemblance, but I don't know about that. I thought the guy had a bigger nose. But anyway, we got to connect with the family, get some family history, wander the village and the streets, and just find the churches that my grandparents and all my relatives had been born in, died in, married, baptized. It was great.
This last spring, when we stayed in Umbertidi, we were actually able to travel back to Sarnano for an overnight. And in the pictures that we are posting as part of a slideshow, there's a picture of Rudy and one of the gentlemen who was wonderful to us. There's a picture of them, which I absolutely love.
Yep, yep.
I think the trip for me that was maybe the most amazing was the trip to Greece. I just loved the experience of living in that very small village. It was a village of only 13 families, and we got to know several of the Greek families there and the British families that lived there as well. But we just became real connected to that small town and that community, and it was just an unusual experience as compared to Italy. When we went to village markets all the time. We loved them, but each village would have a market day, and you'd go to market day and buy anything and everything you'd need because the villages didn't have shops to purchase those things. Well, in Greece, the small towns near us didn't have shops to shop in, but they also didn't have market days as they did in Italy. We would literally be in the courtyard and we'd hear a loudspeaker coming down the mountains with music, loud music. And that was a signal that some kind of truck vendor was coming to the town square. So we'd grab our change purse and run up to the town square like all the other little locals and see what was coming. They maybe knew what was coming, but we never did.
We never did.
And so one day it might be a produce truck, another day it might be a bread truck. It might be, one day it was a truck of live chickens, and you could buy the chickens live to take home for eggs, or you could buy the chicken and take home and butcher, or the truck driver would butcher the chicken and you would take it home and defeather it and clean it and have it for dinner. So one time it was a truck of hay, one time a truck of just oranges for juicing. So shopping was very interesting in that little village, and getting to know the people through those interactions was just wonderful, just wonderful.
And the same with Italy and with Nova Scotia. I mean, the villages were small, the roads went through them. In Greece, the road literally ended at our village. We were in the mountains, and there was nothing beyond us.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a great experience.
Great.
One of the craziest things we were ever asked to do, I'll have Rudy talk about.
We were asked to do this to get a trip to New Zealand. We opted out of it. But anyway, there was a house sit available in New Zealand that we applied for, and the people were very interested in us, and it involved some pet care. So we emailed back and forth, and it finally came down to, yes, they would like us to come over and do some pet care, but prior to them really making the final decision, they would like us to come over to New Zealand and interview with their dog. Now, we said, well, can't we do a Skype or a video or something like that? And they were very, very adamant. Oh, no, the dog must meet you. So we decided that flying from Wisconsin to New Zealand to interview for a dog and maybe not getting chosen just wasn't very economically sound. So we declined that one.
We thought we might take a few minutes and talk about just kind of the money that we think we saved from doing these kind of trips. And actually, I wouldn't say we saved it because, to be honest, we wouldn't go on the trips that we've been on
for the length of time, right.
Yeah, if we weren't doing these house sits. But, for example, when we went to Hillsborough, we house sat in the country in this charming home. It had 3 bedrooms, a couple of baths, a wonderful location. Well, to rent a home in the Hillsborough, North Carolina North Carolina area for a week is, we looked up several sites, and between $800 and $900 a week to rent a home of that size. And we stayed in this home for a couple of weeks plus, and we had a wonderful experience walking the dogs and caring for plants.
And we also drove to North Carolina and to Nova Scotia, so we had our own car, so that was another saving and expense too.
We checked lodging in or renting homes in the Nova Scotia area where we stayed, and we saw ranges of $1,000 a week to $1,700 a week during the time that we were there. We wouldn't have done that if we hadn't house set. And then we do have some comparisons for locations in Italy as well. In fact, the last home we stayed at in Umbertidi was overlooking these 2 villages of Lisciono, Nicconi, and Mercatali. Yeah. And the house we stayed in was actually a house that is rented out for the tourist season. And when it's rented out, the rental range is $1,480 American dollars to $3,690
a week
by a week. And we stayed there for 3 weeks. And what we did for that home was kind of get it ready for the rental season.
But we had a pool. We had, was it 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, beautiful courtyard. To ourselves. Yep.
And these beautiful
views
of Tuscany and Umbria. It was great. So anyway, we think we have been able to have these travel experiences at low cost because we're willing to put in some manual labor and house it.
Yeah, and and it gets us right into the next thing about basic tips. One of the big things I think that helps us with this travel is we're flexible. Not only flexible date-wise, because now we're retired, but flexible as far as changes and things in our itinerary. We're ready to roll with the punches. And you've got to be flexible to do that. For example, coming back from Italy last time, getting to the airport and finding the entire airport locked at 5 o'clock in the morning and having to wait to get in, and then being told, oh, your reservations have been canceled, and flying a different route home and spending our anniversary in the airport at Toronto, which we hadn't planned on. But it was all part of the trip.
Yeah, I do think you have to have a sense of adventure and look at it that way, because as we had each one of the experiences, we didn't have a predetermined schedule of events for what was going to happen during the house sit, because you kind of have to get to the area and learn about the home, learn about the responsibilities, and learn about the community, and then try and decide what you want to do. And so you have to be willing to go on a trip and figure it out once you get there, and we're good at that.
And just consider what happens as part of the trip.
Yeah. So one of the questions asked on the list of interview questions was, are you adventurous? And so I guess we say absolutely.
I think so.
We love doing these kinds of things. I think the question is, what was also, would we be willing to participate in an unusual travel experience in preparation for the show or in swap for the show? And we would say, absolutely.
Definitely.
We love to house sit. We would actually love to house swap. We just haven't had that opportunity. And we think that Door County, where we live, would be an absolutely wonderful place for people to come and visit.
We have to cancel this one out. We'll be back.